Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ellensburg, Washington, USA. I'm your host, Nick Zentner. This is Central Washington University, and thank you for tuning in to our first episode of a brand new series of programs on Alaska. The local time is 2:47, possibly even 2:48 p.m. Pacific Time, and today's date is November 6th of 2025. It's so great to be back with you. We have approaching 250 live viewers already, early birds before we even get started with this thing. And if you're watching this in replay, as most of you are, go ahead. You can skip ahead 12 minutes. There'll be a little bookmark that I place that says program begins or something like that. Or if you just want to estimate and go 12 minutes ahead, that's when we will begin today's episode A. But right now, it's been a long time since I've been sitting in my office doing a live stream with everybody, so a toast to you with some brand new mugs from Kirk from Philomath. Here's a toast to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Where are you viewing from in these first few minutes? Just to get us settled and feeling right. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw 5x5, so that's good. That means loud and clear. Kelowna, BC, that's British Columbia. Tonasket, Washington. Essex, UK. Pretty late for you, Alan. Nels and Hayward, California. Okay, going too fast. Hang on. Janesville, Wisconsin. Portland, Oregon. I'm going to try to slow this down a little bit. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hogue Hall on campus here at CWU. That's Joe. Hello, Joe. Female Joe. Dayton, Ohio. Fairkirk, Scotland. Hello. Tom's in Maple Valley. I'm down to live suddenly, against my will. Hayward, Wisconsin. Glasgow, Scotland. Grants Pass, Oregon. Bastrop, Texas, y'all. Kamloops, BC. British Columbia. Bev, our first Alaskan, at least that I can notice here. Anchorage, Alaska. Hello, Bev. Dahlonega, Georgia. Is that the country of Georgia or is that our state, Georgia? Regardless, hello. Nels is in Ellensburg, Washington. Pat, the pilot, is from Natchez, and Pat is home in Natchez. Congratulations, Pat. Natchez, Washington. There's backcountry Gary Paul in Darrington, Washington, in that beautiful cabin of yours in the woods, Gary. Claire is in Argyll, Scotland. Forks, Washington. Elko, Nevada. Pick up the pace here, boy. Hello from beautiful Brisbane, Tough in Australia. Yeah, privately I was hoping that this time would work well for people having breakfast down under. From my experience with dealing with live interviews with folks in Australia this past summer. Sterling, Alaska. Aurora, Oregon. Menominee, Michigan. Rochester, New York. Riverton, Illinois, St. Louis, Missouri, Kalamazoo, Gary. We've got plenty of Garys. That's Michigan, if you're playing at home. Yuma, Arizona, Buckley, Washington, St. Paul, Minnesota, Four Lakes, Washington, New York, West Frankfort II. What? Is that Illinois? I don't know. Fab in Alberta, Stevensville, Montana. Don in Fairbanks, Alaska. Hello, Don. So, and thank you, Vinny. Yes, there's a new microphone, there's a new computer, there's new all sorts of stuff that Nat the Wonder Boy has set up, and we've done a couple of testing videos the last couple of days, and it seems like we are operational. Can I go through my stations quickly? Do we have a shelf cam? Yes, we do. Looks like this. And took all the posters down about an hour ago that I've had up there for a couple of years. I have a new Alaska-ish poster. I'll be putting some more things up there. Alma Mater, Wisconsin Badgers, go Badgers there as well. Baja BC license plate and so on. Out the window, let's see if we have herky jerky. We do. We still have herky jerky. Okay. Okay. We still have a herky jerky. One of the whole. Okay. So we'll keep working on that. Have a herky jerky window cam. We got Docky. We have an iPad, damn it. We've got an iPad that I am prepared to use, perhaps in a major way. I can't do two things at once. So I'm pinching with my fingers, with consent. Gross. And that was such a dumb comment. Okay, iPad. And we have the second monitor with a keynote ready to go, a slideshow ready to go, and back home. Okay, good. Well, so much of this feels familiar, but there's a few new tricks. And there have been major effort to upgrade the audio. And I have rock and roll earbuds or earpieces now that I'm still getting used to, but it sounds great to me, and I want to be able to hear when we play video clips on the second monitor. Let's say hi to a few more, and then I'm going to try to take my walk, but that means I have to struggle getting out of this whole headset thing. Oh, shit. Sorry, Patrick. All right. I can't do that. I'm on a short tether here. All right. So, first snag. I think I'm still plugged in. I think you can still hear me. Let's say hi to a few more of you. Adventure Simbrata in Waikile, Hawaii. What's up, bro? Honolulu, Hawaii. Not to be outdone. Alex. Forest Grove, Oregon. Sorry, Patrick. Yeah. I forget who made these. I still have a few. Occasionally somebody will drop by to visit, and they say, any of those stickers left? I go, yeah, I think I got a few someplace. I've got just a few. I guess I'm going to hang on to the few that I have left, but that's from 5 years ago. Yelm, Washington. Y'all. Farmers Branch, Texas. That's Rosie. Hello, Rosie. I met Rosie at Mount St. Helens for a weekend with Hannah Shamloo and the rest of the Bronze Chapter. Rosie flew all the way up from Dallas to spend the weekend with us at St. Helens. Patrick Dugan. Nicole is in Merida, Mexico. Hello, Nicole. Lyle, Washington, Snohomish, Washington, and a 5-minute warning. That means we are ready to go. We are approaching 500 live viewers, and it's so great to be back. I need to take my walk, I think, if I can get out of this contraption, and we'll give you a shout out the window, herky-jerky window, and we will begin the program in 5 minutes. Thank you. I mean it. Thank you for tuning in live. It adds so much. I can feel the electricity with you there. I can't see you, still looking into a black dot, but I can feel you here. And if we didn't have that live component, I don't think these would be quite as effective as they are. I think a bunch of people watch these things. They never turn on the live chat. They can never see anybody live. They're watching this, this weekend or 5 months from now or whatever. But you are generously here, many of you regularly, and it really helps me elevate my energy. So thank you so much. Just seeing those comments scroll by is such a welcome thing. So you're being generous whether you are aware of it or not. And of course I know I'm generous. Okay. All right. So I got to go. I'll be right back. Okay. Window cam. Thank you. Window. Shelf? No. Window. Okay. Glasses off. Air things out. Okay. You got to start concentrating. Put your glasses back on. Take your keys. Don't slam the door. You got a good mic now. Don't slam the door. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a brand new series of live programs. I know most of you are watching these in replay, but those that are here, approaching 600 live viewers, it's a special thrill to be with you yet again. This is another winter, another series of programs that are 26 episodes. The gimmick is A to Z, and I don't mean that we're going to be exhaustive about Alaska. We're not going to cover every square inch of Alaska. Instead, we are simply going to have 26 classes that work together. You can think of this as a class. It's a free class. It's an open class. There is no registration. There's nothing. It's old-fashioned. It's simple. It's elegant, I hope, and it has meaning to everyone. I know this from meeting people in person over the last few years. People watch. They feel a connection to what's happening here. They feel a connection to the community that's here. And we're all just learning together. So the topic is Alaska. We're going to be specifically talking about plate tectonic history of Alaska. I don't know a damn thing about that. And you're like, you don't? You're the guy starting. You're the teacher. Well, I'm not really the teacher. I'm learning with you. I'm learning from you in some cases. And I know for a fact at this point, because this is our 6th winter in a row, I know for a fact that we have geologists watching and non-geologists watching. We have old folks watching. We have young folks watching. We have students, undergraduate students, graduate students. We have faculty. We have researchers. It's a diverse group now. And we're all learning together. And I just like that. I really don't know any other place where that kind of thing is happening, especially with science and especially with geology. So I'm happy that it's a totally unique thing. This whole thing is just kind of a unicorn deal. Okay, with that said, we're going to do 2 of these episodes a week. And the schedule that we have this winter will be every Thursday afternoon at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. So it's bam, bam. I mean, there's 2, Thursday, Saturday. I'm going to have to kind of plan these 2 at a time and be ready to roll. But I don't have a specific plan for the whole alphabet. And you're like, you don't? No, I don't. That's the design of this thing. I know how I want to start. I know what I'm doing today. And I hope that I have a rough idea for what I want to do Saturday morning. But beyond that, I want to entice you to try to stick with the series, but part of it's faith on your part. Like, I guess I'll keep tuning in, even though he's not sure what he's going to do. I like that aspect of it. Okay, so we're going to do 2 of these a week, and that will get us to episode Z, or Z, at the end of the alphabet in mid-February of 2026. And then this is a ritual now. This is a winter ritual that the idea is we learn together with these 26 episodes, and then in April of, a few months from now, I've already booked the auditorium in downtown Ellensburg, Washington, April 9th, 10th, and 11th. So Easter weekend is the first weekend of April 2026. The second weekend is us. And there's typically 500 or so of you that make the trip to Ellensburg. And you are invited if you've never done this. And you're like, okay, 7 p.m., do I need tickets? No, there's no tickets. It doesn't cost anything? No, it's free. You just walk in. Are there going to be enough seats? Oh, there's 750 seats in the thing. Usually it's about 500 folks that show up. Okay, fine. But you're like, why would I come to that? Why would I make the journey? Why would I fly in from Philadelphia or whatever? And then that has been happening. I think there's a couple reasons. But you might be hung up on the fact that if I'm going to be here every episode this winter, why would I go to listen to this recap? So in other words, the 3 downtown lectures are me boiling down the 26 hours of stuff that we do together this winter and get it down to 3 well-rehearsed, polished lectures up on a stage with green chalkboards. And maybe you've seen some of those on YouTube. Yeah, those are the downtown lectures. So you're like, if I'm going to do all 26 of these episodes with you all here, why would I come to this lecture in person? Okay, I understand what you're saying. And then you might also be hung up on the fact that, I don't know, like you're going to film them and put them on YouTube. So I could just sit home and watch them in late April, right? And it's like, yeah, you could. I've learned from a number of people that come to these things every year, the downtown lectures I'm talking about in Ellensburg. I don't think they're coming for me. I think they're coming to be in that auditorium with 500 other people who have similar vibes, similar interests. They've experienced this class together, and they want to meet each other. And if that sounds too intense for you and you're kind of an introvert, I don't know. This might be a place that feels comfortable to you. It's a bunch of strangers, but boy, there's a lot of chatter in that room. People show up an hour ahead of time, and they're visiting in the aisles, and they're visiting in the parking lot, and they're planning hiking trips on the, there's 3 different lectures, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and so it becomes a deal. Some people in the live chat right now have already made their reservations, I'm sure, for a hotel in town. So it's a happening, and it's not the first time we've done it. And so you have the dates one more time. I won't say this every time, but like we're still getting started here. So April 9th, 10th, and 11th of 2026, that is the plan. Very good. Okay. We have some new tricks this winter that I'm trying out. And you've heard this from me before, but I'm going to say it again. I want these to be an hour. I want to start at the top of the hour, and I want to go until the next top of the hour. And I'm going to keep my eye on the clock this winter. I know I probably won't do it, but my intention is to have it truly be 26 hours of content. And so as we approach 4 o'clock here, I'll find a way to kind of wrap it up. I mean, it's just like teaching. I've been teaching this quarter. My voice is hoarse right now. I was teaching this morning to Geology 101, a room full of 80 kids. So, if you've taught college, you've got to wrap it up at a certain time. So I'm hoping to be that fast-paced and streamlined. And this first episode is different because we haven't even really started yet. I'm just kind of setting the tone, but that's my hope. So I'll start the live stream about 10 or 15 minutes before the top of the hour to chat with everybody, make sure everything's working. An hour of content from the top of the hour to the top of the next hour. And then, 15, 20 minutes of Q&A and some ticky-tacky announcements and some other just kind of playtime stuff. And then we'll wrap it up. But I'm hoping that when you see a replay of one of these episodes, it's 90 minutes, but it's really 60 minutes of hardcore geology. And I don't mean it that way, but like it's straight-ahead geology for an hour. And one of the reasons that I'm rededicating myself to this hour-long format is that, again, I hear from people, I visit with people, and they go, man, I'm so pumped about the A to Z thing, and I get rolling, and it's November, and the weather's kind of, rainy and dark and everything, and I want to keep up with the series because I know that I want to watch these in order. But then the holidays come and I get behind on a couple of letters and I look at the length of these things and it's like 2 hours for each episode or something. And I have a day job. I have a family. I have all sorts of stuff. I just can't get caught up. So I'm hoping that I can stay to 1 hour lengths so that if somebody does get behind and they do want to get caught up, they can get caught up because they know each session is a solid 60 minutes, and maybe 60 minutes is doable. Okay, it looks like we're functional. I'm super bright, it looks like. The walls are yellow. I didn't think we were going to be doing that, Nat, but whatever. Something must have happened, or I don't know. So let's just look out the window real quick. And it's almost dark already at 3:09. Looks pretty damn dark out there right now. It's starting to drizzle, looks like. What am I, stalling? I guess I am. I also have something in my throat. Excuse me for a second. Here's to you for being here. Okay, so that's one wrinkle, trying to go 60 minutes instead of longer for the content. What's another wrinkle? I'm bringing the iPad back. Damn it, I'm bringing the iPad back. This is Google Earth. I have it on an iPad. It's me with my 2 fingers right now manipulating this. We tried this 3 years ago when I first met Nat the Wonder Boy, and I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to use it, but now we have the iPad connected with an Ethernet cable It's particularly brisk, I think. And so we're heading to Alaska, and that is for sure the plan. We're starting now, the geology. Yes, we're doing 26 letters. Yes, we're focusing on Alaska. But my first message, dear viewer, is that I don't want to start in Alaska. I do not want to start in Alaska. And you're like, I was just telling my friend you're going to be doing this on Alaska. And he's like, this guy's going to try to do geology, the entire geology of the state of Alaska in 26 episodes? Good luck. It's a huge state. Does that guy not know that? There's no way he's going to do the geology of Alaska in 26 episodes. And now you just heard me say, I don't want to go to Alaska right away. And you're like, why the hell not? You're going to burn up a bunch of valuable letters without going to Alaska? Yes, that is the plan. So I need to explain myself. Another new thing this winter are slideshows. Now, I don't know if you've been following along with the YouTube channel, but I've been slowly building an Alaska video library, similar to what we did with the Cascade video library last winter. I like it. And in addition to interviews and other types of formats that are currently in the Alaska video library, you may have noticed that there's slideshows. And we're going to feature a slideshow on Saturday in episode B, but I want to do a slideshow today that's not in the video library. I've saved it for this episode A. And the purpose of my slideshow that I'm about to start with you, hopefully brisk, hopefully fast-paced, I got 45 minutes to get through it, right? Is that I want to try to show you my thinking about why I don't want to go directly to Alaska in this series. And I want to look back a little bit and review a few ideas and dust them off from the past 5 winters, because we're going to use them again. So another reason I'm not going to Alaska right away is this isn't our first alphabet. We're not rookies. We're rookies with Alaska, but we're not rookies with the exotic terrains, with tectonic models. We're not rookies with some of the geologists who've been working on these problems in the American West. I want to bring them back. These are old friends. I don't want to rehash things, but I want to bring some of these things that we have already learned together, you and I, in past winters, and see if they can pay off as we apply those ideas to the state of Alaska. Because, if you haven't heard yet, at least half of the state of Alaska was made down here. And down here could mean Washington, down here could mean Oregon, down here could mean British Columbia, I guess. But at least half of Alaska was made to the south and then was shipped to the north. So we've been thinking about stuff down here. So let's go to the slideshow, pick up the pace, make it work. Hope you enjoy. I'll stop on occasion to just check in with you, but this is a fast-paced slideshow. That's the intention. Let's do it. He goes to the second monitor. He hits play. It's a slideshow, everybody. In Keynote, no big deal. He's going to go full screen, and occasionally he's going to get his head out of this frame even. So here we are. Thank you for being with us again. It is November 6th. Let's go. Opening comment. Not everybody's going to like my opening comment. I think Robert Hildebrand is correct. I think Robert S. Hildebrand is right. And that's news for many of you, if you've heard of this guy, because he's not particularly well read. People are aware of his work, but they typically do not read his work. And right there, we got a major problem. But the purpose, another way to say it, okay, I'm going to break away right off the bat. Another way to say this is, Bob Hildebrand has some radical things to say, and he's been saying it for the last 15 years. And 10 years ago, he came out with a paper that in the title it said Baja BC Resolved. And I remember taking that paper to all of my trusted colleagues in the building here and other emails, and it's like, have you seen this paper? What's going on, man? And they're like, oh, Hildebrand? Yeah, I don't think it's right. I'm like, why not? It's like, well, my advisor said, it's not right, so it's not right. I'm like, have you read the paper? Well, no, but, I just, it can't be that simple. It's got to be wrong. In fact, 10 years ago, in 2015, I just nodded my head and go, okay, yeah, well, these are the people that know. They're structure and tectonics people. They say it's junk. I guess it's junk. But they didn't even read the paper. They're so strong in their convictions. Well, I didn't know any decent terrain information back then. I didn't have the alphabets that we've been doing 10 years ago. And so I've been on a path. I've been on a natural journey in the last 5 years without even knowing it. I've been doing these alphabets in the past without really knowing that I was getting myself ready to finally understand what Bob Hildebrand is saying. And he has a new paper that I follow. And so we're going to lean into it this month. I want to spend November looking at Hildebrand's new paper. And you got to be shitting me. We're going to Alaska. This guy isn't an Alaskan geologist. His work is fascinating to me, and I want to think about it seriously with you. And when we finally go to Alaska, we will have some of his concepts in our head. Here's the paper. It's been waiting for you, and it continues to wait for you at nickzentner.com. I'll show you how to find it after the top of the hour. The enigmatic Tintina Rocky Mountain Trench Fault, a hidden solution to the Baja BC controversy, Robert S. Hildebrand. Here's what Bob's saying in this new paper, but he was saying it 10 years ago as well. Are you ready for some radical stuff? Bob Hildebrand is saying that much of the bedrock older than 50 million years ago in northern Washington and British Columbia was down here in Mexico. And that essentially everything west of the Rocky Mountains has been moved north more than 1,000 kilometers. And this should sound familiar to you. These are themes we've been exploring with Baja BC and other things. There's bedrock, there's fossils, there's paleomagnetic data. There are many piercing points that try to back this up. And the geologists who have read Hildebrand's papers go, well, I just don't agree with these piercing points. I just don't agree that you can just take this stuff in northern Washington and link it up with Mexico. But it feels like, okay. I basically want to zoom out. That's the title of this episode. I want to zoom out. And you're like, oh, zoom out from the Talkeetna Arc, which is where your project will be with Mike Eddy and the Purdue guys. You're going to zoom out to the rest of Alaska. Maybe that's what you thought when you saw the title. No, I want to zoom out to the point where we're thinking about Mexico to Siberia. And there's really only one person who is zoomed out that far and thinking about the land, the on-land geology from Mexico to Siberia. It's this cat, Hildebrand. And he's matching things. He's finding things in British Columbia and matching them with things in Mexico. And he needs a Baja BC fault. We're right back to that discussion again. So this is where we are spending some time, some valuable time in November. And I've read it enough and communicated with Bob enough to have at least a chance of understanding some of this stuff. And we're going to work on it together. I hope this isn't a deal breaker for you, but that's what I want to do. Take the Lewis and Clark zone, take the Texas lineament, connect them. I mean, this is radical. What is Bob Hildebrand saying? He's saying that the Alberta Rocky Mountains belong where they were made in Nevada. We're going to take the Alberta Rockies and send them more than 1,000 kilometers north. This is mismatched geology. I don't expect you to follow the details. I don't understand the details. But we're going to give ourselves at least a few letters in our alphabet this winter to wrestle with this. You got laramide block uplifts and all sorts of sedimentary basins. Yeah, that makes an interesting pattern. And then you've got a severe fold and thrust belt to the west. Fine. Well, where is all this stuff up in Canada? It's not there. Hildebrand says this, including the Belt Purcell group, has moved. All right, here's the outline for our fast-paced, hopefully, slideshow. I opened with some Hildebrand. I dropped a bomb in the marketplace. How you doing? Feeling okay? I mean, I have to say this. For all I know, there's some Alaskan geologists who had, through the grapevine, had heard that I'm doing this, and I'm this, what is this? I love you, and I'm at Central Pi State University, like this guy. Who is this? He's going to tell us about Alaska? Great. I've been mapping in Alaska for 35 years. What's this guy going to tell us? Well, first of all, I'm going to disarm you, buddy, because I don't know any Alaskan geology. So right off the bat, you don't have a rival. But then if you're willing to understand and tune in, and I open with Bob Hildebrand stuff, I'm sure we're going to lose some geologists. It's like, I'm not going to, I hate Bob Hildebrand's papers, and I've read them. Well, I feel the opposite. Okay, so play along with me then. Let's make this work. Ellensburg, Washington, Mount Stewart, and the Stewart Range on the north margin of campus. The Stewart Range is beautiful. 96 to 91 million year old granitic rocks. So far, so good. Glacial stuff, we don't care. Cows, we don't care. Yeah, the northern skyline from our valley is so important that the wise people with our branding at our university put the skyline of Mount Stewart and the Stewart Range and the Alpine Lakes Wilderness into our logo. Congratulations. This is our geology building, and my office is right down here. You're peeking in my window right now. And yeah, we have a collection of graduate students and undergraduates. We have faculty, we have staff. It's a good place to be. Feel very lucky. We are at the northern margin of the Columbia River Basalt Group, the flood basalts, the German chocolate cake. But that's not going to help us this winter. We're going to be thinking, at least the first part of the alphabet, older than 50 million years ago. So this is 16, too young. Cascade Volcanic Arc, that was last winter. Too young. We need to think older than that. And many of the stories in Alaska that we are thinking about are older than 50 million years old. So you can get out of the German chocolate cake, Miocene, Columbia River basalts, flood basalts. We don't care now. But once we suddenly get out of the cow pie and get into the fruitcake, Lake Chelan, Brewster, and so on, we're into the North Cascades, and things are getting wild in a hurry. Well, I'm not intimidated now. 5 years ago, we did an exotic terrains alphabet A to Z. I started learning about the Skagit Knight, the Napiqua Schist, and so on. I started reading about and learning about the Ingalls tectonic complex, the ophiolite, the Josephine ophiolite, 162 million years old. All these ocean rocks, these deep ocean rocks, Gary Paul photos, helping us realize that everything here has an ocean origin and it's older than 50. But it all moved north. It's west of the Rockies. According to Hildebrand, everything in these photos has taken a trip of more than 1,000 kilometers to the north. Not just Mount Stewart, not just a few plutons. Everything older than 50 million years ago has moved 1,300 kilometers, plus or minus a little bit. Even Gary Paul's photo, one of my favorites, looking southeast from Tommy Hoy Peak up at the Canadian border. This is looking into the North Cascades of Washington. Essentially, everything in this photo belongs more than 1,000 kilometers to the south. So, my motivation for doing the alphabets originally was getting an email from Mike Eddy, who hadn't even gotten a job at Purdue University yet. And Mike said, would you be our public outreach person? We have a brand new Dream Team project. He didn't call it that. I came up with that moniker. Well, they're going to spend a few years in the North Cascades doing field work in the North Cascades. And I'm like, thank you, Mike, but I'm going to have to do my homework. I don't know anything about the exotic terrains in northern Washington. Well, then the pandemic happened, and Larry the Ladder was set up, and I had a brand new iPhone, and I'd strap it to the top of the ladder, and many of you were with us for this whole thing. I wasn't doing exotic terrains. I was doing 5 of these a week in the spring of 2020, and I was just trying to entertain everybody and entertain myself, and built much of this audience that we have today. And when I was making those programs, I was thinking primarily of young kids. I was thinking of families. Everybody was stuck at home. How long is this going to last? Where everybody's on hold. There's no sports. There's no nothing. We remember it was a freaky time. But I built that audience through all those episodes in the backyard, and I finally ran out of material. And so after taking the summer off and making field videos, I decided, well, I'm on this new Dream Team grant. I might as well just keep going with this YouTube channel and this YouTube audience that I built from scratch, essentially. And I guess I will teach exotic terrains. So I wasn't learning with everybody back then. I was basically giving lectures based on the work that I was doing on my own, just trying to power through that stuff. And I started giving downtown lectures based on that material. Okay, let's get to the geology. So my plan here is to hopefully turn on a few lights. Even if you are an experienced geologist, even if you have been thinking about this for generations, if you will allow me to say this out loud, I do have a few strengths. And occasionally I can pull out and find a narrative that you're like, wow, I've never thought about it like that. Maybe I can do that right here, but if not here, maybe a few times during the winter, I can do it with my own hokey approach to even have the pros stand back and think about a couple things in a fresh way. That's my hope. And for everybody else, it just hopefully feels the same way. So I want to go backwards in time. Let's look at Silesia 50 million years ago, Insular 100 million years ago, and Intermontane 170 million years ago. And you're like, we've already done this. I remember this from 3-4 years ago. I know you do. But we have some live viewers that are brand new to us. Plus, I'm doing this with a new slant that may be new to everybody. We'll see. We'll see. So what can we start with? Can we all agree, please, if there's major disagreement between major tectonic models, and there are, can we agree that this is a real thing? That the Cascade Volcanic Arc is this? Okay, good. And can we all agree, please, I don't care who you are, can we agree that there's a major plate boundary in California today, and it's called the San Andreas Fault? We can agree on that? That's comforting. Good. And can we agree that this is a real photo taken by G.K. Gilbert in 1906 after the great earthquake in San Francisco? And can we agree that that fence was broken cleanly and that there was 10 feet of offset? I mean, this is not AI and everything else. I hope we're on the same page with this. And can we agree, please, that there's bedrock units in California that have been cleanly broken by regular earthquake activity on the San Andreas Fault? And that if you really look carefully at that, we've got 30 million years of motion on the San Andreas Fault and a total of roughly 200 miles of offset. This is viewer Scott Kronk. I want to get rid of this bar here. I won't be distracted by it. Sorry. Viewer Scott Kronk went down to California, Carrizo Plain, I guess, in Central California, got a drone, lifted the drone, flew it north. So we're looking at the Pacific plate on the left side. We're looking at the North American plate on the right side. This is as obvious and as clean as we can get with a plate boundary. We can all agree that these are lithospheric blocks, 100 kilometers thick, right? Therefore, this boundary is 100 kilometers deep. And this is one of the most impressive plate boundaries that we have. Maybe the most impressive plate boundary we have on the entire planet. Good. Class dismissed. We agree. These are real. And that Baja California used to be further to the south. And that this sliver of California used to be further to the south. Why? Because there's a major transform plate boundary, a strike slip boundary. Good. So we've got that. We've got a subduction zone. Everyone's on the same page. Right? We're on the same page. Okay. Silesia, I think we're mostly on the same page. With what? Well, we got all these names: Chosen, Crescent, Siletz River, Grays River, etc. Southern tip of Vancouver Island all the way down to southern Oregon. Everyone is lumping now all these different units and realizing that this is all a Silesia basalt story. This is the crazy Eocene from 4 winters ago. Mike Eddy says you accrete Silesia and you're going to get some folding and some crunching of the leading edge of North America prior to 50 million years ago. And that collision, that accretion of Silesia, which was built offshore and then added to the edge of North America, has created some problems inland. And most everybody agrees that not only is Silesia accreting to Washington and Oregon, there's also the Yakutat, which is also a portion of this formerly very large oceanic plateau that was built where? Out in the Pacific Ocean, and then added to the edge of North America. I'm bringing this back, baby. Dock and slice. Dock and slice. We did this 3 years ago, 4 years ago. This narrative of making something out in the ocean, docking it to North America, slicing it with a strike-slip fault, and then sending half of it to the north. Make it, dock it, slice it, send it. Let's think about that. Not just with Silesia, but as we go back in time, let's think of if we have more of that as a narrative that we can sink our teeth into as it pertains to Alaska. So here's Erin Donaghy with some cartoons that she made a few years ago, and she allowed me to use these. I'm not sure I'd ever made one specific paper, but they're in proposals that she's done. Here's Silesia and Yakutat after the accretion. Here's the Coast Plutonic Complex inland. Here's Alaska. Okay? Dock it, roughly 50 million years ago. Dock what? The large igneous province. Half of it Silesia, half of it Yakutat. Slice it and send half of it to the north. Send it, half of it to the north, Yakutat. It's still being added to Alaska today. But everyone, I may be wrong, but I think everyone, consensus is that that Yakutat portion of Alaska was made down here. You see what I mean? There's one example that I think everybody can agree. A portion of Alaska was made to the south. In fact, it was literally made down here in the Pacific Northwest. Here's a brand new map from Erin that she just sent me the other day. Erin, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. She'll be part of the series. She's busy right now with her teaching and her new gig. I understand. So there's a lot here, but we have half of the large igneous province called Yakutat, half of it being Silesia. This is Washington and Oregon. And if you look at the detail of Erin's work, she does not have Yakutat accreting here in our neighborhood and then going up the coast. She's got kind of a boomerang-looking large igneous province. Regardless, she does have Yakutat accreting to southern British Columbia, I guess, and in time 1, time 2, time 3, and time 4, this thing is moving north on, looks like, the Queen Charlotte Fault. So Yakutat and Silesia cartoonishly were down here together, but it's the Yakutat thing that went outside. Make it, dock it, slice it, send half of it to the north. Good. Now, if we want to add something, we can add the fact that almost everybody, but maybe this is a disagreement now, almost everybody agrees there was a spreading ridge that was subducting as well. Oh, good God, are we getting back into that? Not really, I don't think so. But the green M&M, boys, Mike Eddy, Jeff Tepper, last winter, we were tracking that green M&M in that triple junction. But just the effect that we had a subducting spreading ridge complicates issues a little bit. I don't know how important it is this winter. It may become hugely important. But I'm reminding you that we've done this work as well. Near trench magmas. Subducting spreading ridge, Yellowstone hotspot, most everybody agrees is responsible for the basalts of Silesia and Yakutat. You're like, oh, okay. If you're new to us, welcome. I hope you feel like you are in a place that you should be. But maybe you don't feel like you're in a place you should be right now, because I'm going fast. And you're like, I've never heard any of this stuff. What the hell's going on? Well, I can't really assign 4 prior alphabets to you to watch. But I am going to be shooting for some more advanced thinking here. And occasionally I'll try to zoom out and make it work for everybody. But this first episode especially, I want it to be fast-paced and relatively, I guess, higher than 101 level. So I hope you can hang in there for whatever reason. But for many of our viewers, this is all review. So near trench magmas at the Bald Mountain Pluton in western Washington. The Kamloops and Chalice magmas. This is all happening in response to the accretion of Silesia, where this is still the crazy Eocene, baby. Okay, we got the large igneous province that's clogging the trench. We're breaking a plate because we've clogged the whole system. Do you remember this now? This is Jeff Tepper. This is BADR. This is bimodal volcanism. This is the break-off belt. You're getting flashbacks now from last winter about this time. The suture of Silesia. We're still just talking about 50 million years ago, but look at all these magmas that are not volcanic arc magmas. Not a volcanic arc magma, the Golden Horn Batholith. This is a rollback story, a 52 to 44 million year old age pattern in northeastern Washington. Jeff Tepper and students, University of Puget Sound, interpreted as a broken plate that's rolling back and hot mantle getting shallower than it should be. This is Saddle Rock above Wenatchee and Castle Rock up above Wenatchee. So this whole concept of losing plates, breaking plates, not all magmas being from volcanic arc activity, not all magmas being tied to subduction. That's all part of what we've been doing recently. This is just last winter, the Idaho Slab Curtain, and so on. What else is happening? Good Lord, man, it's not just a magma story. We're starting strike-slip faults. 49.3 million years ago, we initiate the Straight Creek Fault in Washington as a result of the accretion of Silesia and Yakutat. And those strike-slip faults, like the Ross Lake Fault Zone or the Leavenworth Fault Zone or the Eniat Fault Zone, take your pick, they're moving in a strike-slip manner, but there's also normal displacement so that we have pull-apart basins and we have sedimentary basins like the Chumstick sedimentary series between Leavenworth and Wenatchee. This is still all in the neighborhood of 50 million years ago. So San Andreas Fault? No, not in this case. This is Straight Creek Fault in Washington and Fraser River Fault in British Columbia. Slice it, send it. Slice it, send it. Slice it, send it. Slice it, send it. This is not 1,000 kilometers. This is not 2,000 kilometers. This is like 100 kilometers, basically, between 49.3 and 35 million years ago. But the concept of we're making these strike-slip faults at a certain time, we're killing the strike-slip faults at a certain time, I think we're going to use some of this in the future, meaning the Alaska series. I think you're getting the main message today. We're not rookies. We've been at this a while. Uplifting mid-crustal stuff, rocketing to the surface. It used to be deeper than 20 kilometers down. Now it's the crystalline core, the Swakane gneiss, the Skagit gneiss. You get Gary Paul photos like this. This shit should be more than 20 kilometers down there. It's not. It's at the surface. Why? And do we have examples of this inland of when we accrete something else in Alaska? So I've learned a lot from the Dream Team. Stacia Gordon, Bob Miller, Mike Eddy not in this photo, and that project is done. We filmed our last video this past summer at Stehekin. You may have seen that one. So all this stuff, it's not just faults, it's not just magmas, it's not just magmatism, it's not just metamorphic activity, it's not just sedimentary basins. All of this Silesia and Eocene fireworks, the Silesia fireworks, that's all happening in response to this accretion. So if we go back in time, as we're about to do, to 100 million years ago, I know it's harder to find the details as you go back that far in time. But potentially we have just the same amount of craziness 100 million years ago, or any time that we have a major accretion of something from out in the water getting slapped onto the edge of North America. Oh my God, he's actually going to Alaska. Is that true? Yeah, I am. So far, we just have these beige guys. This is a Trevor Waldine map. Yakutat, there it is, was made down here. Chugach, I think a lot of people, maybe everybody, agrees that the Chugach was also made down here. To be continued. Now let's jump back to 100 million years ago. I got my eye on the clock. 100 million years ago, we're leaving Silesia and Yakutat, but I wonder if we can find similar narratives. Silesia narratives. Can we find them with insular? And we've called insular different things at different times. Wrangeli and friends was a phrase I was using 5 years ago. 4 years ago, I think, a lot of Basil Tikoff, a lot of insular talk, Daryl Cowan, lots of insular talk. We called it insular. Same stuff. And I've noticed that the Alaska people that I start dealing with in the last few months call it Wrangelia composite terrain. So that might be our label this winter. In fact, here's a Bob Hildebrand map. Slow down. Fairbanks, Alaska, heard of it. Anchorage, heard of it. Valdez, Glen Allen, had not heard of it. Okay? Denali Fault. Border Ranges Fault. Yakutat, made down here. Prince William, I guess. Chugach, I think, made down here. Across the Border Ranges Fault, Wrangelia composite terrain, including the Talkeetna Art, which is in our sights for next summer with the Purdue group that I am part of as a public outreach person, a new National Science Foundation grant, the inspiration for doing this entire Alaska series. So I'm going to be thinking a hell of a lot about the Wrangelia composite terrain, a.k.a. the insular superterrain, a.k.a. Wrangelia and friends. With Wrangelia composite terrain, do we make it out in the water? Do we dock it? Do we slice it? Do we send half of it north? Early ideas. What do you think? There is Wrangelia, apparently, cartoonishly here, of course, famously in Vancouver Island. Other places in British Columbia. Pieces of it we just saw in the Bob map up in southern Alaska. I think many, but maybe not all, agree that the bulk of Wrangelia composite terrain was added 100 million years ago. Now, maybe Bob Hildebrand's going to get off of that. I don't know. But I've always liked this very elegant and simple sketch map of British Columbia. Oh, sorry, hang on. Major superterrain, insular. Major superterrain, intermontane. And then inland of each of these major land grabs, we have this plutonic and metamorphic mess. This is the Coast Plutonic Complex, just called the Coast Belt here. This is the Amanika Belt. We can maybe call it the Amanika Plutonic Complex. What's the significance of these belts? I think there's some payoff for spending a lot of time with those two. But if I go back to Alaska, I said I wasn't going to go to Alaska, but I can't hold it. If this is accreting 50, is everything between the Fairweather Queen Charlotte and the Denali added 100. And while I'm at it, is everything between the Denali and the Tintina added 170? Because this is intermontane. And this is where the Alaska people are snapping their pencils right now as they're watching this. This guy's an idiot. Well, I'm just asking out loud, is it possible that our three narratives from the past few winters, 50 accretion, 100 million year old accretion, 170 million year old accretion, and then old North America over here, can we start with that? Because we've established that down here. Back in time, 3 major chapters of accretion with major strike slip boundaries between each of them. It's like this guy. He's like self-satisfied, little smirk and everything. Like he thinks he's onto something. He's been thinking about this 5 minutes. We've been thinking about it 5 decades. This kid, I think, who is this guy? This guy's got problems. He seems to think he's doing something new. Maybe we are. Maybe we will this winter. So forget about Baja BC and paleomagnetism. Can we just look at the fact that the Darrell Cowan classic cartoons have Wrangellia and friends, or the Wrangellia composite terrain, docking, slicing, and being sent north? And Basil Tikoff's original paper had the idea of a whale migrating up the north, up the west coast. Vindman's Bakery dropped these off in the middle of winter a few winters ago. So is the Wrangellian friends, is the Wrangellia composite terrain a whale that's migrating north? Whale migrating north. Whale migrating north. And then this from Brandon Keogh, just this a few weeks ago, the graduate student from Purdue who I will be featuring in some videos up in Alaska next summer. Mike Eddy, Ken Ridgway, and Brandon Keogh. Brandon opens in his talk with me that these volcanic arc signatures up here in Alaska are remarkably similar to the volcanic arc signatures down here on Vancouver Island. And I'm like, okay. I guess it could all be just one long Wrangellia composite terrain, or is it possible it's a dock and slice? I found this from 5 or 4 winters ago. The Carmoutzen basalts of Wrangellia composite terrain and the Nikolai basalts of the Wrangellia composite terrain, I think everybody agrees, is the same stuff. And we're back to trying to decide, is this one long, super skinny Wrangellia composite terrain, or was the Nikolai down here similar to a Yakutat tied to Silesia? Are you following my logic? And you're like, show me the paper that shows that. I can't. I'm new. I'm just playing with ideas based on what we've done in past episodes. Oh, can you hear it? I got the door closed. This mic is so good, I feel like I'm in the middle of a conversation out in the hallway. All right, keep going on, boy. So I want to come back to this. This seems big to me at the moment. Is this dock and slice, or is Wrangellia composite terrain truly just this big hot dog that gets slapped onto the edge of North America and then the thing gets moved north? So I'm wondering if we have a major strike slip fault that's offsetting this portion of Wrangellia composite terrain from this one. Move on. You don't know what you're talking about. Move on. If we go inland, it's even older, and I've got hardly anything to talk about there. But before we go there, yes, in Washington, we have a part of the whale here. This is Mount Stewart and other things, and the Silesia story as well. Just very, very quickly. I've only got 10 minutes left. Very, very quickly. North Cascades. Go there. The Dream Team introduced me to all sorts of concepts. Very good. Yes, 90 million year old Pluton, 48. Wrangellia era, Silesia era, right side by side. Rangalia era, Silesia era. Rangalia era. Mount Stewart, granitic material. You're all hearing the conversation in the hall. All right. Elizabeth Zentner, hiking with some grungy-looking rocks in the shadow of Mount Stewart. What is it? It's green. Serpentinite. It's ocean rocks. This thrust faults as well, windy pass thrust and other things. Thank you, Bob Meller. So this whole collection of geology that we have worked on can be plugged into something. Okay, if I've lost you, I'm starting to lose you, can I remind you what I'm trying to do? I'm a lumper. I'm looking for major narratives, and I don't want to be stubborn about it, but I like going towards these major narratives, as I call them, and then try to group things that are always a bunch of details that most people just view as details, but if I can connect them somehow into some of these broader story arcs, that pleases me. And I'm not doing peer-reviewed journals. I'm not following anybody's rules. This is just a safe place to just explore ideas. And even the geologists who are involved are sometimes hesitant because I've made this whole thing up. I'm not following anybody's rules. I'm not the establishment. I'm an outsider. But I gravitate to the outsiders, the people who are thinking outside the box. They're painting outside the lines. I like that. And that's what we're doing here. Some people go in that direction. Even these thrust faults, these pizza boxes of the San Juan Islands. I think we got to move on. We got to move on. Get off the Rangalia thing. Get off the Rangalia thing. This hit and run, basal tick-off, insular, and we're about to go to intermontane to wrap this one up. Intermontane down here. I have hardly anything to talk about with the intermontane because it's too old for me to totally understand. But there is some of this intermontane to discuss in Alaska. And so the work that we did 5 winters ago was Stakenia, Cache Creek, Quinellia, we were doing stratigraphy. Get the hell out of the hallways, gals. Quinellia, Slide Mountain. Look at these ages. Pizza boxes back then. Who's hitting us back then? Did we have a big collision 170 million years ago? I guess we did. I need to learn a lot about it. Is it a dock and slice even back then? Notice this fault just disappears. It bothered me 5 years ago. It turns out this fault is going to be one of the biggest pieces of evidence for us to work with this winter. So you've heard my approach to try to summarize what we did together a few winters ago and see if we can bring those narratives north to Alaska. I'm wondering if there's another dock and slice story. I'm wondering if we have a mega whale story that Randy Enkin introduced a few years ago. So I don't want to do the mantle slabs, and I don't want to do paleomagnetism today, in part because I want to keep this to an hour, and in part because I don't think we need it. Those that remember our discussions of finding ocean slabs in the lower mantle can be brought back by just looking at a few of these slides as we go. And those that remember our discussion about Baja, BC, and the paleomagnetic data set, and getting to know pioneering paleomagnetic experts like Merle Beck and Ted Irving and Randy Enkin and Jane Wynn and Linda Nosen and Bernie Housen. This is all 3 winters ago when we did Baja, BC, A to Z. But I'm going to come right back in here and put a nice little bow on this one before we go to some live Q&A. And I don't want to hear it from you. I don't want to hear. I don't think I want to hear from you. Oh, come on now. Just let it breathe. You should go another hour like you normally do. No, I'm pretty serious about this. I want these to be tight. And so I might be doing this a bunch this winter, cutting myself off at an hour. That's okay. I'll just use some of this and refashion it down the road. It'll make life easier for me and more pleasant for me. And as I get more and more detail coming in from geologists who are watching these, then I'll be able to just be more adept and more nimble. So that's fine. This is a photo taken by Karin Siglock in McCall, Idaho, 3 years ago. No, 2 years ago, August of 2023. And this is an example of, first of all, the last time I was really thinking about these exotic terrains. So this is the Penrose Conference. Margie Russmore, Jordan Wang, Daryl Cowan, Basil Tikoff, myself. I'm sorry, I can't remember this woman's name. And you can see how casual everything is the foosball tables and ping pong tables and everything else. It's a Bible camp in McCall. But this is where I stopped thinking about the exotic terrains. But I am now back. I'm back because of Hildebrand's new paper. And on Saturday, if you tune in Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time, we're going to spend a whole hour with Bob Hildebrand's slideshow. That's right. After the top of the hour, I'm going to show you how to get to Hildebrand's new paper, and I'm going to make sure that you know how to watch Bob Hildebrand's new slideshow that summarizes his new paper. But I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what we're going to talk about on Saturday morning. Bob says, I can make maps. That's no problem. I love making maps. This is Robert Hildebrand talking now. I make beautiful maps. And I can make a good map. I can make a good looking map of Alaska if you want. And he did this more than 10 years ago. Yakutat, Chugach, Wrangellia composite terrain, Intermontane, Old North America, major faults. Gorgeous. I think this is also Bob. Same idea. Major strike slip faults, major pieces of crust that I'm pretty sure everybody says came from the south, but I don't know. But Bob Hildebrand, as you'll see in the coming letters, views a westward subduction story, and this is going to be a major narrative this winter. How many people are going to be absolutely against any westward subduction and pulling North America to the Wrangellia composite terrain and having this plate subduct westward underneath that material? And how many geologists on Saturday and beyond are going to be absolutely disgusted by the idea that so many plutons, including Mount Stewart, is a slab failure pluton and not a arc pluton? In other words, from hot mantle upwelling generating magmas versus a subducting plate. This appears to be a no-fly zone for many, many geologists, even though most of them admit they don't know how to read discrimination plots the way that Bob is presenting them. So what do we do? Mount Stewart is slab failure. Do we have geochemistry to prove that? That's a major narrative this winter. And westward subduction is a major narrative, and we're going to finish with this. This concept about a fixed archipelago and having westward subduction, at least in part, explain closing some ocean basins offshore of North America, and then wait for it. Starting 70 million years ago, a substantial portion of the American West moving north. That seems to agree, at least at a gross level, with Bob Hildebrand's new paper. Bob Hildebrand's new paper. Bob Hildebrand's new paper. The Great Alaskan Terrain Wreck, authored by Stephen Johnston. Does that agree with Bob Hildebrand's new paper? Does it not? Does Stephen Johnston still believe in this paper from 20 years ago? It's the top of the hour. Thank you so much for being part of Episode A. I want to hold the line here with you. I want to do some uppercase questions that you might have. I'm sure there are plenty because that went fast. And we'll also look at the calendar and do a few other little chit-chat things for the next 10, 15 minutes. But this is the new format, wanting to do that. Nat, I am super yellow here. I don't know what happened, but that studio look that we designed, and it was studio looking a while back, earlier this morning, is suddenly gone. And is it simply because it's damn near dark outside? I didn't think we were going to have that issue, but talking to Nat Nickel, don't know if he's watching live or not. Uppercase, please. Love to try to address some of your thoughts. Mike, any book recommendations for Alaska A to Z? I'm just getting started, Mike. I value roadside geology books. And again, if you're an Alaska geologist, you're rolling your eyes. You got to be kidding me. There's some good stuff. That's a good place to start. The second edition of the Roadside Geology Book of Alaska. I don't have it handy, but that might be a place to start. I think it's about 10 years old. The science papers that we have, and I'll be showing everybody, if you're new to us, how to get to some of these science papers. They're not written for you. They're written for other geologists, but I think if you stick with us, I can help you fight through some of that. And you can view me as a translator, even if you're not willing to read the scientific papers. Beyond that, I don't know about a general geology book for Alaska A to Z, but maybe some folks will chime in. I'm just looking for uppercase now. Are there any connections between the North Cascades terrain and Blue Mountains terrain down in Oregon? Thank you for the question, Slow Life. I think the Blue Mountains are a big deal, and that's on my short list for what we're going to talk about with Hildebrand. There's a lot for me to learn, but he makes a pretty strong point, as will I think here on Saturday, that the Blue Mountains in Oregon are tied to the Belt Purcell metasedimentary rocks that are Precambrian in age. And there's excellent paleomagnetism, according to most, from Bernihausen in the Blue Mountains, which say that we have a major amount of translation to the north, more than 1,000 kilometers of northward translation of the blues. And Bob says, I think, we have a stitching pluton between the Blue Mountains and the Belt Purcell. And so the Belt Purcell needs to go more than 1,000 kilometers to the north. Most have a hard time with that, but I'm open. How many people here can be open to that? So I think of the Blue Mountains being tied more, at least currently, to the belt rocks of Montana as I do to the North Cascades, but I could be off. I don't see Stephen Johnston's big terrain wreck in these maps. How does that fit in? Thank you. Stephen's busy right now with some family matters, but I have him motivated to be part of this. So we'll be dealing with him a fair amount. Basil Tikoff will be involved a fair amount. I've been in contact with most of your favorite former geologists who've made appearances on this. Their favorite guests, and whether they'll be live with us or I'll be doing Zoom interviews with them or they'll make another slideshow. I'm about to go to my website, I think, for those that are especially not sure about how to find this stuff. Let me come down to live and then scroll back and looking for more uppercase. Thank you. How many do we have? More than 800 live viewers. Thank you so much for being here. Chris, will there be much about the Aleutian Arc and its volcanism in the series? I'm not sure about that, Chris. It seems pretty young to me. So this is a portion of the episode today where I'm going to show my ignorance. And we might look back and laugh at some of these comments. For all I know, the Aleutians are a key part of trying to understand Alaskan bedrock geology going back 200 million years. But my innocent view of the Aleutians is that they're pretty young and not a big part of what we might be doing this winter. But what the hell do I know? Jeff from Vinman's Bakery. You've got to love it. In beautiful downtown Ellensburg, Washington. Jeff asks, what food prop will you need this winter? Well, I don't know. You came through with some whales, and we even had a mega whale that you created. Can you hear that? Great mic, Nat. I can hear people passing gas 3 buildings away. Good job. I don't know, Jeff. I think there might be some food choices that are more obvious to you. I know you were trying to find some good food props the last couple of years. We'll see what the viewers have to say. I don't want to force anything, but it'd be kind of fun to come up with a couple ideas. Robert Hildebrandt is in the house. Hello, Bob. Can you change the Saturday time to noon so I can sleep? Now you got to set your alarm, Bob. Come on now. Especially Saturday morning. The next few Saturday mornings, we're going to be singing your praises. Patrick, do you think that the Tintina and Denali faults acted as plate boundaries before jumping to the Queen Charlotte? That's a comment I remember from Sarah Rusky in one of the... Okay, I am going to go here in just a second. I'm going to show you the Alaska Video Library, and if you're unaware, there are many Zoom interviews that I've already done in the last few months. One of the comments that Sarah Rusky, who spent many, many, many decades doing in Alaska, she said something like, every strike slip fault up there, every major strike slip fault used to be a plate boundary. And maybe you saw that, and that's why you're asking that. I'm going to go with that. I like that. That sounded big to me. I don't really know how significant that is, but it feels big to me. Backcountry Gary Paul, any thought about the owl, oh Lord, being the western extension of the Lewis and Clark line? Well, here's the Lewis and Clark line, Gary. And I agree, the owl is kind of like this, isn't it? Where are the Olympics in this? Oh, no, the Wallowas are way down here. So I don't know, Gary. The owl's more like that, I guess. I don't even, why is this lineament here? It's so interesting, and I guess critics would say it's so convenient that we just throw this thing in when we suddenly go into this volcanic swamp and we can't see anything. But I don't know, Gary. Thank you. Jerome Lessman is here. Thank you. Good start, Nick. This will be a doozy. You've already hit a lot of the itchy spots. Thank you. Thank you, Jerome. I'm going to try to get Jerome involved somehow, too. Okay. How about a few more questions? I'm going to come down to live. Look for a little bit more uppercase, and then we'll finish by going to the website so you can make sure to know how to get to a few things, especially if you're brand new to us in this format. Eddie, Three Dog Night musician from Nashville, Tennessee. Eddie drove all the way out here to Ellensburg and delivered box after box of fossils, personally collected and curated by Eddie himself. Eddie, thank you. The students are loving what you delivered here, free of charge, by the way. For orientation purposes, could you keep referencing the position of old North America as these terrains accrete and move north to Alaska? I can try, Eddie. That does seem like an overlooked part of the story, and we definitely know the latitude of North America at different snapshots in time. So especially when it's helpful to remind people of that, I will do my best. Thank you. Ron, if all the strike slip faults are former plate boundaries, are the faults 100 kilometers deep? Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I guess so. Stan, is Siberia the backstop to all the movement? I get the impression of that, and I don't know how much Siberian geology we really have at our fingertips. But again, this is all just stuff that naturally bubbles up to me from years past. I think I asked Stephen Johnston when I interviewed him 3 years ago, why are we crumpling? He took it well. See, his idea is that we had one long continuous volcanic arc out in the water, and then that volcanic arc got buckled like a train wreck. He called it the terrain wreck. Everybody loves that. It's memorable. But I think I asked Stephen, like, why? So we're buckling this train against what? And he kind of sheepishly said, yeah, Siberia, I guess. Or maybe he said it more forcefully. I don't know. But that's kind of the idea. Okay, I got 5 minutes left. You know that I'm serious about this now. So let's go to, just to show off, Do what? I don't know. In honor of Bob Hildebrand, should we go to the Tintina? No, this thing's fuzzy again. Why? It's not as sharp as it was before. I'm not impressed. Let's move on. Let's show you the website. Get rid of this. In our last 5 minutes together, this is what my YouTube channel looks like. I'm doing a dark mode these days. Midlife crisis, I guess, even though I'm not midlife. And here we are operating right now. I don't know if your page looks like this, but I have playlists. And so there's each of our episodes for Alaska A to Z will be showing up here in the top column. And then here's the Alaska Video Library. So one way to get to the collection of videos that I have put together that I'm calling the Alaska Video Library is here on the YouTube page. And there's a lot here if you haven't been aware of this. Here's a sneak peek and your homework if you want to think of it that way. And I'm going to play this so that you can hear Bob a little bit. Okay? Sneak peek for Saturday morning. Here's Bob.
109 million years, because they are cut by syn to post-kinematic plutons. These observations led me to argue the difference as shown. It must be emphasized that because the rocks in the thrust sheets do not have corresponding involved rocks as far east as the easternmost outcrop.
Okay, skipping around. That's Bob Hildebrand's slideshow that's 35 minutes long. That would be a good one to watch before Saturday morning if you want to do your homework. But if you want to get to that another way, this is my website. So this is not my YouTube channel. This is my website. It's just called nickzentner.com, and it looks like this. It looks different than last winter if you were going to it last winter. And you'll notice that the same Alaska Video Library is here. So if this is a more convenient way for you to get to these interviews and field videos, and here's Merle, rest in peace, and some of our prior alphabets are all here. So I selected, there's a lot here, but I selected a few that had something potentially to do with what we had going as we approach Alaska. And then here's, again, us right now. But what I really want to show you, in case this is brand new to you, is that each time, all the papers that we did for Baja BC, look at this, man. Every science paper. Here's the 10-year-old paper that Bob put together. It's still there on the website for the Baja BC series. Bob Hildebrand himself made 2 memorable appearances. I share this occasionally with geologists. They're like, "Who put this together?" I was like, "I did. I just added papers every episode." And the Ice Age floods with all that stuff. Each of these is a paper. Here's Richard Foster Flint, 1930, whatever. And so my point is, there's a lot here. So maybe just from this alone, you can see why graduate students and undergraduates and geology classes around the world are coming to my website, because in many cases, these are papers that are usually behind paywalls, or they're unpublished. And I take pride in getting a lot of these resources out of these hidden places and getting them into your hands. You paid for it. You're a taxpayer. You paid for a lot of this work. And so here, if you click on Alaska, did you see what I just did? If you click on Alaska in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to be doing this all winter if you're into this, if you want an A. This is episode A, and I have 1 paper assigned. And it is the brand new paper by Robert S. Hildebrand. There's a lot here. We're going to spend at least a bunch of episodes in November will be focusing on one paper. So that might be a relief if you have always been feeling guilty, like you haven't read all the papers. And my God, there's 17 papers for one episode. You got to be kidding me. I've got a life. What's going on, man? Well, there's one paper for at least the next few episodes, because there's so much in that paper that I find interesting and potentially correct. We shall find out together. A toast to you. Here's to you. Thank you for joining us today for episode A of Alaska A to Z. Let's get another mug from Kirk. Mount Stewart, I believe. Rangelia composite terrain, if you must know. Here's to your health. Here's to the health of your family and friends, near and far, all around the world. Let me say one more thing. Just like I said at the start, this is a community. I don't know if you can feel it, but especially when people are in a room together, you can feel the energy. And I know that's a little woo-woo for a lot of people. And isn't this a science program? It's like, what are you doing with this community thing? Why do you love me and all that stuff? Well, I don't know. It feels like there's pockets of humanity that still exist for free. People willingly joining a group. And they feel good when they're in the group. And especially if you follow national news, it's getting harder and harder to find pockets of humanity. Well, there's no division here. It's the opposite here. And I like that. So, thank you for being part of this community. Okay. I did it. I didn't go on for 2.5 hours. Thank you for joining us today. I hope that you enjoyed episode A. And please tune in to our next episode, which will be Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Everyone will be there except for Bob Hildebrand, who will be not setting his alarm. But who knows? Maybe he will surprise us and join us in the live chat. Thanks, everybody. I love you, and goodbye. Goodbye from Ellensburg, Washington, USA. Shelf cam? Wow. Winter is here, like overnight, basically. Most of us in our country changed our clocks, so it's 4:18. It's almost dark. There's a Geology 101 lab. Those poor bastards are up on Menashtesh Ridge right now with flashlights, for crying out loud. Well, this is going to seem like springtime compared to what it's going to look like a month from now. So let's enjoy even a little bit of light in the sky. Thanks, everybody. See you Saturday. End stream.